The Leaping Lemur, once a growing lolcow news channel inspired by the likes of Kiwi Tapes or Smokey MCC. As of late, some events with his ex-girlfriend Lily came to light. He's had one of the fastest fall-offs I've seen on YouTube. If you need the meat and potatoes of it all, my first video on the topic is there just to get a feel for everything going on first. Fellas, let's dive into the lies, dismissal, admissions, and two-faced nature Lemur's had recently.
I texted this person who I never should have been texting. I messaged them really cringe ass weird shit that doesn't reflect on me as a person. I made myself seem as though I'm this crazy overbearing person because I was in this toxic relationship where on both fronts we were very overbearing and annoying. I feel like we've just been sharing screenshots back and forth, and it proves more and more how embarrassing this relationship was for the both of us.
Made himself out to be cringe and overbearing, but it doesn't reflect who he really is. But if this is how he acts in private, where else could we see the real him?
So again, I'm sorry to any YouTuber who I talked about in those text messages. There's probably so many that I don't even remember. There was over 21,000 messages between me and Lily. There is probably a lot of shit I talked about in confidence with her. And to everybody who I did that to, I apologize, genuinely. I do not plan to ever talk about somebody behind their back. It's one thing to vent to somebody casually. It's another thing to just straight up talk shit about somebody, just act like you completely dislike them or you fucking hate them. That's basically what I did. I was an asshole and I made it seem as though I hate these people when they were my friends who helped me out a lot.
Made it out like he hates the people who are supposed to be his friends who helped him out, as awful as it was for him to completely backstab in private those who would have thought to never do the same to him. It's another highlight of the disingenuous two-faced act he would put on for his peers. He was capable of being friendly with these guys, but in private he was hating on them. All to backtrack on that hate, it just screams liar, at least to me. All of this just really adds to the context that Lemur is an extremely manipulative person, impulsive liar, and makes us believe he's an unreliable source despite how awful of a person just that alone painted him. A huge issue in this controversy as a whole is his fundamental misunderstanding of consent and how exactly that was on full display both during Lily and Lemur's hotel stay and in his constant defense of himself.
There was no essay that occurred during this relationship. There's no proof from Lily's end that this ever occurred. There's only her own words. And I have text messages that prove that she wanted to drink. She wanted me to have sex with her while she was drunk. And she encouraged it. Encouraged it multiple times.
A big thing I wanted to talk about was this little point he made in the beginning of the video and continued to elaborate on. His whole defense for the fact no essay occurred, and of course I'm not accusing Lemur of this, it's all alleged, it's that on multiple occasions Lily expressed a desire to get intimate with Lemur, even seemingly, asking him to do so while she's plastered. I think here Lemur has this fundamental misunderstanding of how exactly consent works. Lemur's slam dunk point on consent given beforehand is highlighted 7 minutes in when he drops the screenshot like it's his saving grace, reading, "I guess like it just makes sense to F my GF, so like I just be doing that shit." And she responds, "I'm glad you think like that though, and you're right. You better make moves on me, SMH, especially if you like me." And then he said he's a move maker, trust. If you're talking all sexually with your girlfriend, or maybe you and this girl, you've been really feeling each other, flirting and whatnot, you guys express that desire to each other days or even hours beforehand, then in the moment she tells you to stop, lets you know she doesn't want it or is too plastered to understand the concept of a yes or no, don't go after that. It's clear what that is, There's no, you said you wanted earlier, so now you have to, man. That's fucked. Again, we aren't making accusations here, but with this misunderstanding he seemingly has about how consent works, things aren't looking good for Lemur. Following this, we see Lemur poke some holes in Lily's storytelling capabilities, since her story had a little bit of missing information, or if she had some details during one interview that were missing in the other. Of course, I made this point in the previous video, Lily isn't exactly the greatest person ever, but that doesn't mean at all she deserved to be assaulted like she claims. I would also like to point out here that she was over the age of 18 over the course of the entire relationship. The worrisome power dynamic in the relationship was the fact she was previously a viewer. One of the major reasons why many of the friends Lemur would later shit talk or talk down about warn him to stay the hell away from this girl. Advice that was clearly not taken seriously. Moving onward with alcohol and consent though, it's perfectly normal for all these memory gaps or the delayed realization to happen. If you consume enough alcohol, it essentially shuts off your ability to make memories. That's what being blackout means. A big thing with the Lemur fella seems to be trying to poke holes in the girl's story due to inconsistencies and a delayed realization of how she really felt, which in my opinion is pretty reasonable given the mass amounts of alcohol consumed over the course of 3 days.
When we broke up, she messaged me saying, "You did nothing wrong." That's her exact verbiage. At no time during our sexual contact did Lily ever state she was uncomfortable. She never texted me anytime after that telling me that any of the sex we had made her feel uncomfortable. The only time that she said she ever felt uncomfortable during sexual contact was when people on Kiwi Farm started to ask her about it, and they told her that she must have felt uncomfortable or that it must have been bad because she was drinking with me. The only time Lily did state she was uncomfortable was during her state of what she describes as drunken psychosis.
Implying here she was coerced into saying after the fact that she felt uncomfortable by users in Kiwi Farms is a little crazy, because the crazy and wild thing about alcohol is that it impairs your judgment. What's wild is that you're a college student, my age. This is something we've heard about all the time heading into college from high school, and that's what constitutes consent, and that beyond a certain threshold of impairment from alcohol, valid consent just can't be given, man. Even in the moment, and maybe days after the fact, she may have thought whatever went down was normal. This is the case a lot more often than you realize too, is that sometimes after an uncomfortable event like that occurs while extremely inebriated, it takes some reflecting and talking it over with someone else to even realize any SA ever occurred. Alcohol can give you this false sense of comfort, and coupled with the fact it's a lot harder to resist and even really comprehend what's going on around you when you're as plastered as the both of you seem to agree that she was, it's not so out of the realm of possibilities here to say it took her a while to confirm with herself what happened was, again we're talking alleged here, was her being taken advantage of and not consenting to the intimacy.
The only time Lily did state she was uncomfortable was during her state of what she describes as drunken psychosis. She messaged me a bunch of times claiming that I hit her. In those messages, she even agrees that she's probably thinking I hit her, or she may have felt I hit her, but then she comes back after the fact the next day and agrees with me that it was a delusion and that I did nothing wrong. So now she's telling people on Kiwi Farms and people on these interviews that the reason she hit me and the reason that she did what she did was because she felt uncomfortable.
Him hitting her was supposedly her delusion, and she agreed he did nothing wrong, at least right afterwards. We have to remember she was blackout or near blackout here. When you get to the point of being that drunk, it's your memory making and retrieving that's really royally fucked by the alcohol. So could this have been a delusion? Absolutely, but with very clear issues he displayed within a relationship, with all these screenshots of his wall after wall of texts, very evidently an emotionally volatile person, sending her messages that, like, if he ever caught her with another man, he'd shoot them both. Things like that make me really question if that was really a delusion, or did Lemur's anger get to him, or frustration, or whatever? Did she say no? And then he did a decent job of gaslighting her into thinking it didn't happen. Alleged, of course. He's laid out the groundwork for people to distrust him and second guess him every step of the way here. One of the bigger things that seemed to stir some confusion for Lily and lead her to believe some unwanted or unknown touching occurred while she was blackout was due to waking up without any clothes on one of these nights.
He tells me what happens, and what happened was I wake up and I'm naked. Sorry, but I am.
Wait,
and I don't know how.
Wait, sorry. Say that again. Sorry.
I said, I wake up and I'm naked.
Okay.
Mind you, I don't know why I am, but me as a person, I respect myself enough to know that I shouldn't be on the first night. You know what I mean? Like Nick on the first night.
Which it seems she can agree with him on the point that she needed a shower because she embarrassingly wet herself, and Lemur elaborates that he helped her into the shower and it was she herself that crawled into bed without any clothes on. But the fact she was next to him completely in the nude and in a state of practically lucid unconsciousness, it made her really suspicious that he did something while she was unaware, considering the freaked up nature of some of their conversations leading up to the trip. However, Lemur does make a pretty valid point despite me not wanting to give him a win in this next clip.
Lily sits there on these live streams and tells people that I was sick and she had to take care of me. But at the same time, somehow while I was so sick that she had to take care of me and I was, almost passing out, I did stuff to her while she was sick.
It is a little weird that she describes him as being much worse off than her and that she needed to take care of him and whatnot because he was on the verge of passing out and yakking everywhere. Almost as if he wasn't loose enough to do anything on his own. However, this point also dismisses the idea that a drunk person can SA another person. Like, being drunk doesn't dismiss you of shit. Of course, if any SA occurred, being drunk isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card to get away with that kind of shit. A straight-up accusation of SA that allegedly occurred while sober, before the drinking occurred on the second day, was where we get the infamous smelly dick information from, with Jit, of course, going so far to say it smelled like cheese and mildew.
He tried to, he pulled down his trousers, his autism trousers.
But yeah, okay.
And when I tell you, it was under the blanket, it was he, I couldn't see it, but it was under the blanket. And when I tell you, I couldn't even, my nose wasn't under the blanket, but it literally smelled like mildew, cheese, and when I, I'm not even being, I'm not even trying to be mean, I'm genuinely, telling you the truth. It smelled like mildew, just cheesy, and then his pee is
All right.
But I will say, when I was doing the hand thing, that felt very forced. I felt disgusting after that. Even the hand stuff.
Well, yeah, because it's like you.
It's stinky. I don't like it. It smells. He put my hand there, and I had no choice. I felt like I had no choice.
At no point in Lily's story does she indicate that she ever said no or tried to move her hand away. She said that I forced her hand down to wherever. I didn't. That's not what happened. She knows what happened. It's kind of hard to get somebody to do that. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm definitely not saying that, because it's definitely possible. This is actually the exact instance she's referring to when she texted me the next day and said that we're cool, I made you nut, referring to this situation as a positive, never indicating that anything was negative and it was forced.
Lemur claims she never said no or tried to move away, and she did it all herself. This is a real he said, she said point in all of this, because without that alcohol variable, both parties being completely aware and sober, the only argument I could make here is maybe she felt pressured in the moment, considering they were stuck together in that hotel. But I can't really explain away the claiming to enjoy it afterwards unless she really wanted to just stick around to buy, make him buy her things. That toxicity, though, it just doesn't compare to everything coming out about Lemur on his end.
And final day. The third day that I was with Lily, everything was fine. We chilled for most of the day, until the nighttime. That's when she started freaking out. She got up, she went through what she describes as drunken psychosis. She said that I had hit her, and then she started hitting me. And it obviously didn't happen, because then the next day she started texting me, telling me I did nothing wrong, because I didn't hit her. We both know that. She started texting me saying that I did nothing wrong, that she's sorry for hitting me, and that she understands if I want to break up.
Lemur claims after she had gotten so incredibly plastered, she began experiencing alcohol-induced psychosis, and that's where she thought he had hit her, and she began fighting him away, or in her eyes, off of him, I guess. I'd like to point out here for the fellas, if she was so drunk to the point of drunken psychosis being a possibility, it is so not out of the question that he, alleged here, of course again, could have hit her for whatever reason, and had just gaslit her in the moment to believe otherwise, or that she was crazy from the alk. Tell me that's not a bad take here, because as seen earlier on in the video, Lemur has painted himself as this guy, paints himself in a better light than others no matter the cost, and he's a manipulator, so why should I believe him over her here? This final clip from this lackluster response or apology or whatever Lemur attempted and failed with this video will be the only thing I can tell you guys is without a doubt 100% the truth.
I was a bad partner. I was a bad friend. I shouldn't have did what I did. I should have never gotten with this girl.
All in all, the whole situation revolving around Lemur has had some crazy irony, driving those around him who were once his friends to make the very same content he's been so successful over the past year creating about others. Hopefully you fellas enjoyed another coverage of this degenerate's controversy, and that you guys find comfort in the fact You didn't have to give him a view to find out what sorry excuses he may have used this time around. If I converted any of you to a grubba, don't forget to subscribe for more shit like this, of course. Don't be afraid to leave any comments clarifying anything I missed, or to have discussions about the situation down below. I appreciate those who watch all the way through, though. Later, Grubbas.
They're Adidas. And I don't got no shoes on, but I don't know, I'll probably just wear these with them, you feel me? The Ferrari Jordans. Yup.